You're listening to The Monetized Mom, the podcast that teaches moms of faith how to monetize their expertise online to create influence, impact, income, and more importantly, financial independence. I'm your host, Flo Alexander. Let's chat. Hey mama, if you are tuned into this episode, you're probably looking to grow your coaching business. Well, you are in luck. I just released a new training on how to launch a high-ticket program that clients will pay thousands for, even if you don't have your program created. Now, you can access it now at themonetizedmom.com/training. That's themonetizedmom.com/training. Again, that's themonetizedmom.com/training. Now, let's get on with the show.
So there was an article on Forbes back in July that talks about how aspiring luxury consumers are no longer making their purchases. So a large portion of the luxury and high-end retailer market, they've lost customers. They used to get what they call aspirational consumers, which are people who are not necessarily luxury buyers, meaning they don't necessarily buy luxury all the time, but they are aspiring to be luxury consumers. So they may buy the lower price items at luxury stores. They may, get things, nothing's ever on sale in a luxury store, but they aspire to be luxury consumers. So there was an article that talked about how pretty much luxury retailers have lost that market because of the economy. So I wanted to talk about what that means for the coaching industry. And if I'm honest, I can tell you right now that a lot of coaches are not talking about this because it's going to hurt their pockets. It's going to hurt their pockets because they are going to have to admit the fact that the high-end, high-ticket coaching industry, the market is shrinking due to things going on in the economy. So we know back in 2020, back in 2021, everybody and their mama was enrolling in high-ticket coaching programs because money was abundant. You were getting money from the government. You were getting deferment on your student loans. There was so much happening. You weren't traveling. A lot of people were working from home. So they had this extra income that they could put away to be able to invest in $5,000 programs or invest in $20,000 programs. So what you saw was an influx of coaches who were able to get this large influx of revenue. So that's when you started seeing people saying, well, I hit 7 figures in 2020, or maybe I hit 6 figures in 2020 around the 2021 timeframe. Now what you're seeing is the tail end of that. Companies are requiring people to go back in the office to work. People are beginning to travel more. Interest rates have gone up in an attempt by the Feds to lower inflation. Things are costing more, right? So where people had excess funds in 2020, 2021, where they were able to spend large amounts of money on coaching programs, is just not the case anymore. And so back in 2020, 2021, we were in what I would call an economy where you had aspirational consumers for high ticket coaching. Because let's be real, before 2020, before 2021, who was really talking about they had a high ticket coach? Very few people. You had executive coaches, right? You had maybe the elite in business who had other business coaches or mentors, but the everyday person was not talking about they had a coach. So 2020 and 2021 made it more accessible for people to invest in coaching. Not only that, it made it more accessible for people to actually get in the coaching industry and find immediate success because of what was going on. People had extra money to spend. Now we're back to normal. That's just the truth of the matter. We are back to normal, so that market of buyers has now shrunk. You don't have a lot of those aspirational buyers. Now you're only dealing with the people who are real luxury consumers. Real luxury consumers are people who actually are able to afford high-end coaching, high-end items, luxury items, who can actually afford the sticker price, and this is their lifestyle, not the flaunt they do on social media. So what does that actually mean for you as a coach? What does it mean for you as someone who's trying to sell high ticket? It means that you're going to have to figure out a way that you can actually pivot and adjust to what's going on in the market. Because the reality is right now, in this present day, coaching is a luxury. as it was before. Coaching is a luxury. Remember, I said back in 2020, 2021, maybe even 2022, it wasn't the norm for people to say that they had coaches. Very few people were investing in coaches, and if they were, maybe it was like a low ticket type of thing, but very few people were saying, I'm spending $30,000 in a coach to help my business, or I'm spending $5,000 in a coaching program to help me do X, Y, Z. Very few people were saying that, and now we're back to normal to where now coaching is a luxury. Coaching is a luxury. So if you are a coach and you are attempting to sell a high-ticket coaching program, you have to understand that the market is now different. Everybody don't have an abundance of money. Not everybody has $5,000 to drop. So if you are not solving a high-end problem for people who are able to afford high ticket, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to sell a high ticket program. You have to be able to solve a high end problem to people who can afford to pay high ticket. So real luxury consumers, they have to be able to afford it, and you have to be solving a problem that they want to have solved. Now, here's the thing about that. When you are actually dealing with luxury end consumers, your objections and the marketing and the sales objections that you're going to have is going to be completely different from these aspirational luxury consumers that we had before. Now, if you're dealing with people, a lot of the objections may be, I can't afford it. I can't afford it right now. I don't have the money. Money is the number one objection. That is not the number one objection when you're thinking about true luxury consumers, people who really have money to spend on high ticket coaching programs. When they are making the decision to buy, it's usually never a money issue. It's usually, should I make this investment, or should I take my money and invest it in real estate? Should I take my money and invest it in the stock market? Should I take my money and invest it in another business venture? So there are it's a whole different world of marketing and sales when you're talking to someone who was an aspirational consumer versus someone who is an actual real luxury consumer, okay? So now we are in a time where before, people had money, they could spend it, they could take a chance at investing in a coaching program because they had the money to do so. Now that's not the case. If you want to be able to sell high ticket coaching specifically, you got to be able to sell something that is going to address a high-end problem for people who are able to afford high ticket prices. Okay? So what's happening in the luxury retail space is the very same thing that's happening in the high ticket coaching space. So we have gone away from being like accessible to a broader group of people to now being something that's very exclusive to a group of people who can't afford the luxury of having that coaching. And this doesn't necessarily people who just got money sitting aside like to spend, right? This also means that people who have good credit, right, who can leverage, and then also, yes, the people who have the extra cash. So again, this means that if you aren't targeting those people, right, if you don't have an offer that's going to address one of their needs, it's going to be very hard for you to then sell your $3,000 program, your $5,000 program, your $10,000 program, whatever some guru told you to slap a price on your program, thinking that anyone and everyone is going to buy it. Now, here's the thing though. Just because I'm telling you we are in a different market to where high ticket coaching is now a luxury, that does not mean that you automatically all of a sudden target the top 10% of people in the market or in the economy. Like that does not mean that, okay, well now I'm about to shift to high end luxury or true luxury people. It does not mean that you all of a sudden shift to the top 10%, but it does mean that you really have to hone down on your offer to solve a high end problem. And if you are unable to come up with an offer that actually solves a high-end problem, then there are 4 things that you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do, right? So the first thing that you can do is you're going to end up spending more money or more time to get the math to work. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have less people converting into your offer. So knowing that, if you know that is going to be less people buying, you're going to have to play a numbers game. And this is going to be costly, right? So you're either going to be spending a whole lot of money in ads, or you're going to be spending a whole lot of time trying to generate a large enough audience to make the math make sense. or you're going to realize that you don't have a luxury offer and you're going to pivot to mass marketing. And so mass marketing is where you're going to sell a course, like a self-paced course. It's where you're going to sell an ebook. It's where you're going to sell something digital that allows you to have mass distribution. You might realize like, hey, I actually don't really think that I have a high-end sophisticated problem that I'm solving that people are willing to pay and able to pay thousands of dollars for. Therefore, you may decide that, hey, I need to pivot to doing mass marketing. So you're selling lower end products, you're selling ebooks, you're selling digital products, you're selling things like courses. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing. There is room for Walmart and there is also room for Louis Vuitton, right? Two totally different audiences, but they're still generating revenue. They're still serving the people that they're intending to serve. So don't think of it as a failure, quote unquote, if you are unable to sell high ticket. You just need to pivot to where it makes sense for the solution that you have for the marketplace. Maybe you just don't have a high-end solution for a very sophisticated problem. Maybe you have a really practical solution for a mass market problem, and there's nothing wrong with that. In addition to my high coaching, I still sell a course. I still sell ebooks, right? I do that because I understand that there is a high-end problem that I solve for an exclusive group of people, and there is also a mass market problem that I have the skills and I have the ability and I have the information to help them solve. So yes, I'm going to sell an ebook that teaches you how to make money online. Yes, I'm going to sell a course that teaches you how to create digital products, right? That is a mass market problem. It's not very sophisticated. It does not take a lot to show people how to make digital products. It's not that complicated versus showing people how to set up very strategic, automated sales and marketing systems for their coaching businesses so that they can reach those luxury clients. That is a very sophisticated problem. Teaching moms how to build businesses while they work their very senior level corporate careers is a sophisticated problem. Teaching moms how to build wealth through their businesses so that they can exit their very high-paying 9-to-5 jobs so that they can have more time for their family, so that they can travel, have time for self-care. Very sophisticated problem for a high-end client, right? So you can choose two different worlds if you're figuring out this ain't working for me. The coaches said that all I had to do was slap 5,000, 3,000 on it, run some ads, and I'll be able to get clients. That's just not the case anymore. And I'm sure no other coach is going to tell you this. I'm probably the only one that's being honest. They're not going to tell you because they're going to lose money because they're going to get you to sign up for something and then you're going to realize that your program can't sell. I'm not here for that. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. You have to solve a very high-end problem for people who can actually afford those high ticket prices. All right. So the second thing that you could do is take the mass market approach, right? And then the third thing is if you have a high-end solution, if you have a sophisticated solution for people who can afford high ticket, then the next thing that you can do is actually raise your price so that you can maximize your revenue for the clients that you do get. So you may have a smaller group of clients, but if you are raising your price because they can ultimately afford it, then you're able to maximize your revenue for the amount of clients that you're actually getting. So this is if you do have a high-end solution. So if you are solving a very high-end problem, very complex problem, very sophisticated problem that would warrant you charging high ticket, if that's the case, then raise your prices so that even though the pool is much smaller at this point, the clients that you are able to get, you're able to maximize that revenue. The other option that you have, if you still want to be able to secure clients in this climate, is you're going to have to adopt what I call the Mercedes model. And I will really only recommend this if you are seasoned in your business or if you have a really good coach who's able to walk you through this so that you can do this the right way, okay? This is what I call the Mercedes model. And the Mercedes model is this. Mercedes is a high-end luxury brand. Everybody knows Mercedes is a luxury brand. It's a status symbol. It is a luxury brand. But here's the thing about Mercedes. Even though they are a luxury brand, they still have a quote-unquote like economy version of their vehicle. They have a lower-end version of their vehicle that they're able to sell at a lower price. So I think it's the A-class Mercedes. I'm not a Mercedes person at all. I hate them. But they have the A-class Mercedes, but guess what Mercedes also has? They have the Maybach, right? So this is the Mercedes models where they're able to service those who can't necessarily afford the higher end, like the GLS and those, very expensive models of the Mercedes, or the Maybach, which is a very high end luxury where you're talking about paying a house for a vehicle. So that's the Mercedes model, where you have sub-segments within your target audience. You have products and offers for people who are in the A class, right? People who still want an elevated experience, because at the end of the day, if you buy a Mercedes, it's still an elevated experience, but you're at the lower tier of that elevated experience. Then you have the meat of it, right? Which is your G class and whatever else falls within that. Again, not a Mercedes person. And then you have the Maybachs, which is your extreme luxury people. I would only recommend this if you have experience. Like if you have experience, if you have an audience, right? If you have the bandwidth, capacity, and systems to be able to have multiple offers. But that is another approach that you can take within your business. If you're seeing, hey, I'm not able to get these high-end clients. I'm not selling my G-Class, right? I'm not definitely not selling my Maybach, right? You can have an A-class within the Mercedes model within your business where you're able to still service people at an elevated level, still elevated, meaning it's not dirt cheap, right? You're not selling them a Hyundai or a Toyota or whatever, right? You're selling, or like a small Kia or something like that, right? You're selling them still something elevated, but it's on the lower end. You have to understand that we are in a shrunken market. Some of y'all may attest to this in your own personal life, but we are in a shrunken market. So before 2020, 21, maybe even part of 2022, you had those who were aspiring consumers, those who had a little extra income at the time and they wanted to dip their toe. They wanted to buy their first pair of red bottoms, right? They wanted to buy the real Louis Vuitton bag. They had money to invest in coaching. Now, coaching literally is just going back to what it was, which is something that is a luxury for people who can afford it. I have been coaching since 2017. I started doing business coaching and financial coaching back then. This is the real world. Everyone is not interested in coaching. Everyone cannot afford coaching. So again, unless you have that offer that solves a high-end problem that is marketed to people who can't actually afford it, it's going to be very hard to sell high ticket in this market. So I gave 4 things that you can really do, right? You're either going to spend your time and money trying to get the numbers to make sense. So you're going to spend a lot more money in ads to get more people to make the conversion rate work. That's an option. If you got the money to spend like that, then go for it. I run ads. I teach my clients how to run ads. But the reality is, like, you may have to spend a lot more money to get the numbers to make sense on the conversions. Or you may realize that, hey, I don't have a sophisticated solution, or I don't have a high-end solution for a sophisticated problem within the high-ticket space. Therefore, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to take the mass market approach, and I'm going to sell something lower end. I'm going to sell a course. I'm going to sell a digital product. I'm going to sell master classes. Y'all, it's nothing wrong with that. It is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And then if you really truly have a high-end solution, right, raise your price. Raise your price so that the number of clients, even though it may be smaller, you're still able to maximize your revenue. And then again, I just went over the Mercedes model. If you are seasoned in business, if you have like your foundation in business, if you've established yourself as an expert, right? If you've gotten clients results, you can adopt a Mercedes model where you're selling the A-class and the G-class and the Maybach so that you can appease the different segments of the market who are able to afford different price points, but still giving even the lowest price point an elevated experience.
As always, I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And with that, I'll talk to you in the next episode.